Book, I'm sure, is incredibly expensive, right? How much?
No, it's a free resource.
Oh, it's free.
We provide guidance, we provide education because we want to make sure people feel educated and understanding because sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and we need to make sure we help arm people with information to ask the right question.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Beautiful sunny skies and mild temperatures today. A dry day with a high in the low to mid 60s. The normal highs in the mid 60s. So this is just about typical for this time of year. It does get cold tonight. Lows dropping down into the low 40s in the metro area. North of town, we could actually see a little light mix or a few snowflakes, believe it or not, in the morning hours, but I don't think it's going to have any impact other than the wow factor of seeing a little light snow after Easter. And we're looking at a high tomorrow in the mid-50s. We'll see some rain chances by later this week. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome to Monday afternoon, kicking off what promises to be another very busy week here on Colombo and Company and on 119.94.1 News Talk STL throughout the entire day and entire week. We have, of course, Election Day happening tomorrow across the area. We're going to talk about that as we go through the afternoon. We'll be keeping a close eye on election results over the next, after tomorrow evening and into Wednesday. A lot of very important elections happening across the area. Tax issues, school board issues. You can go to our website, newstalkstl.com, and check out your ballot. You can get a little guide there on what are the specific issues on your ballot tomorrow, because as we talked to some of our guests last week, I heard Mike Ferguson talking about it again this morning. It is not hyperbole to say that these local elections that happen in April, while tremendously underperforming due to the lack of voter turnout, are at least as important. If not, you could make the argument very strongly, I think, that these April local elections have a bigger impact on your day-to-day lives because they do have to do with day-to-day issues like the taxes that you're paying where you live and the people running the school board at the school that you're dropping your kids off every single day at. And if you don't have kids, the vast majority of your property tax is going to these schools. So you want to make sure that it's being handled in the way that you want it to be. So very important elections. We'll talk about some of the issues as we go through the day today and tomorrow, obviously. But you need to get out there and have your voice heard. And if you are, like so many people, it's April. You don't know exactly what is on the ballot in, an election at this time of year, go to our website, newstalkstl.com. Right there on the front page, you'll see the little voter guide. Click on it. It'll take you to a couple spots where you got to put in, your address, just because, everybody's municipality is different. Every county is going to be a little bit different. So that's how hyper-specific these elections are tomorrow. Really, really important stuff. So go and check that out. All right, we also have major updates coming out of Iran today. We've got major updates coming from outer space today. We are also going to talk to our big tech AI expert, Mike McClary. He'll be with us in the 3 o'clock hour. Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments, of course, will be joining us in about half an hour from now, a little more than a half an hour from now, as he does every Monday to sort of kick the week off and get us a beginning of the week market check, an economy check. A lot going on with the economy today. Some of it tied in directly with the conflict in Iran. Donald Trump suggested making the Strait of Hormuz a toll road, basically. So can't wait to talk to Paul Curtman about that and more. And right now, joining us on the line as he does every Monday to kick off a busy week. And today, the timing could not have worked out better. When you've got a spaceship setting records, you want to talk to a rocket scientist, and we have our resident rocket scientist, News Talk STL contributor, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Gabe Phifer is on the line. Gabriel, hello.
Happy Monday, my friend. To the moon, Alice.
Yeah, to the moon and beyond. So,
Indeed.
just minutes ago, really, just over an hour ago, the breaking news came in the form of a social media post from NASA that Artemis II astronauts have broken Apollo 13's record, becoming now the humans that have traveled furthest from Earth. They've gone further than any other human in history. I believe it was last week, Gabe, when we had you on. If not, it was one of the recent times we had you on, and we were previewing the Artemis mission and this specific launch, but also the years-long mission in general, and kind of walking through it. And you had talked about this, how this record would be set by this crew. And as of 1:57 p.m. Eastern time, so 3 minutes before 1 o'clock, just over an hour ago, St. Louis time, that is when that record was broken. NASA's tweet read, quote, "A new milestone for humankind. The crew of Artemis II are now the furthest any human has ever traveled, reaching a maximum distance of 252,752 miles from Earth. This surpasses the previous record set by Apollo 13 in 1970 by about 4,102 miles. NASA says that Artemis II will continue to travel away from Earth, with NASA expecting the Orion spacecraft to reach a new maximum distance of 252,760. So that's about 8 more miles than the one that they put in the tweet. The crew will...
Just a wee bit.
Yeah, just to be real, just to be right on the money there. The crew will continue their mission to the moon to conduct scientific observations from the Orion spacecraft as they fly around the far side of the moon. I mean, Gabe, for a space guy, this has got to be just like prime nerd stuff, right? Like how cool is this? And this achievement by these astronauts, by NASA, by the United States, by humankind, that we have set a real human milestone today. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I'm geeking out big time about this whole thing. I believe actually they're sending us 4K images of the moon's surface right now via laser communication. So those are going to be really cool. By the time NASA starts publishing those, you're going to start seeing new wallpaper show up on your available for your Apple products, I'm sure. But so it's going to be this whole effort, I think, is going to be considered if we really do pull this off and end up with a permanent spot on the moon. This is going to be one of those seminal moments that we're going to remember as humankind as a major game changer in civilization. They're gonna talk about it in the same breath as Wright brothers and the original Apollo mission.
So, Gabe, I'm only going to play devil's advocate here because I know my answer to this question, and I think that it is massively important that we continue to push our boundaries. And, the cynical could say this is, we need to get out into outer space because we need to set up defenses and we need to set up military capabilities and, in order to ensure our military dominance on the world. And there's part of that. There's also there's also communication issues and things like that, that can be done in outer space and help, humankind in that way. But for me, it's just exploration. It's just the scientific what is out there? What is next? What can we learn about this galaxy and our moon and then the planets and space as we continue? I think that is the most important thing. But so that would be my answer to this question. The people that may be listening or that you see on social media that say look, spaceships are cool and all, but we've got multiple wars happening down here. We've got, we got a lot of problems. We got a lot of problems with crime. We got a lot of problems in our communities. Why are we focused on putting people in outer space when we got all this problem happening down here on Earth? What would be your response to that?
Well, I mean, in terms of the focus question, I think people need to remember that human society has always been able to walk and chew gum at the same time. While there are wars going on, constantly everywhere on the globe, and it has been so ever since, Cain met Abel. Humans have been killing one another. We still have to make progress. We still have to push forward to create the conditions in which we can actually improve the world that we live on. So, a lot of the things that we take for granted technologically, a lot of the knowledge that we take for granted, in our medical schools and things like that, come from, if not directly, then certainly secondarily from our efforts to explore space and all of the technologies that go with that. So, you can't discount the effort and the lessons that you learn along the journey that play into the advancement of human civilization. So just for practical purposes, just so people can kind of hang their hat on something, one thing about space is that because of microgravity, so let's say we're talking about being on a space station or a large-scale space station, crystals are able to form in ways that they can't under gravity. So there are entire, material science realms that open up once you kind of establish the ability to have microgravity facilities. The other thing is power scales better in space. You don't have cooling issues. You don't have waste issues like you do down here. So, people aren't worried about setting up an AI information farm someplace because of its need for water and its drain on the power system, because you can do all that stuff in space at scale very, very quickly. It's just a matter of making it cheaper to get things up there. And in order to do that, you need to really have your ducks in a row when it comes to developing these technologies. So we're on our way to advancing as a species, and I think a lot of it can be hung on the efforts to get to space.
So, but that big picture, and I by the way, I agree with everything you just said, and I think that was really well said. And I think that one of the most disappointing things that has happened here in the United States and across the world, really, over the last 20, 30 years, is how we stopped going to space and how we stopped our push. And to see this happening today and to see that renewed interest being also, and not only is it cool to see that, it's also great to see that it's being driven largely by private companies and by the brilliant people in this country and across the world, and capitalism and pushing that innovation. Yep. That's even better as part of this story. So the big picture there that you just laid out, I think, is an important message. We talked about this the other day, and Gabe's a rocket scientist, but he doesn't work for NASA, at least not that he's ever told us. But
I can neither confirm nor deny
He is
my
never
association with the
so
national.
I know you don't know all that. I know you're not the person that has like the mission documents, and you didn't get your memos today. But in general, what are the specific things about Artemis 2 and this trip? Like, I had moon rocks in my 5th grade class. What do we need to look at? What do we need to look at the moon again for? Like what? What are the what is the importance of what this Artemis mission over the next couple of years and its focus on the moon? How will that? How can that help? Immediately here on Earth, or immediately in the terms of, we're not talking about going to Mars, which is going to take a lot of time. This type of operation, how it will have a quicker impact on us here on Earth. What are the kind of things that Artemis is looking to accomplish with this mission?
Well, I mean, primarily Artemis 2 is about proving the human element of this portion of the travel. So, the technology that goes into the capsule, the crew capsule that they're using, they're doing some proof of concept things on some of the newer elements of that. We're not using Apollo technology here. So,
right.
as we make advancements, you gotta check, you gotta double check, you gotta triple check, because rocket science is hard. And we want to keep humans alive when we send them up there. And if we're going to, as the Artemis program's goal is, set up a permanent base on the moon, you want to be able to make sure that all of your systems are going to be working when your next lifeline is a full year away. Right now, this is a 10-day mission, so so long as everything stays on the up and up, they're going to be able to come back. Once you put boots on the moon, it's a year before the next mission can be fielded to deal with them. So they're doing a lot of testing right now.
Wow.
Now, in terms of any other direct knowledge things, I mean, there's nothing that the average Joe individual can hang their hat on, except for the really, really cool pictures.
Yeah, and I don't mean necessarily, and I'm not limiting it just to Artemis 2. The entire Artemis mission and the moon and the ultimate moon base,
sure.
and putting people on the moon. Is this military? Is it communications? Is it scientific? Is it all of the above? What is the ultimate goal of the Artemis mission? That it's going to be carried out over the next couple of years. Now that this launch has happened.
Oh, it's definitely going to be all of the above. I think the hazards of living in a place as unhospitable to human life as the moon is going to lead to a lot of, I think, innovations that will have direct application to providing housing, food, and the like in inhospitable places on Earth. So we may figure out basically how to get past some of our hurdles in feeding people in really, really bad areas that have very little water, because guess what? Not much water on the moon. So if we can figure out how to have a permanent food source, essentially, with very limited resources, and relying entirely on a yearly resupply, I bet there's a way to angle that to be able to help humans here on Earth. Same thing with actually fabricating things on Mars or on the moon. One of the ideas, I'm not sure if they're implementing it this time around. One of the ideas I heard bandied about is using moon dust as a substrate to sort of create a form of concrete that they can use basically a giant 3D printer to make buildings on the moon. Okay. Imagine some version of that here.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to. So you're talking about using the moon dust on the moon. I was thinking that it was moon dust bringing it back down here.
No.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, why is moon dust better than Earth dust? But no, that does make sense to harvest the resources available there rather than fly everything up.
Because that's expensive.
Gabe's sticking around for another segment. One more question on this Artemis mission, and then I want to get into some other things. You talked about I didn't realize it was basically a year if you're going to be one of these people on one of these astronauts that are based on the moon for a period of time, much like the ISS. We always hear about the windows. When there's somebody sick or hurt or something like that, or something goes wrong. You can't just hop in the shuttle and head on down to Earth anytime you want. There's
it's not like scheduling a flight.
Yeah, there's very specific windows available for that. Would the International Space Station be another, it kind of maybe even both ways, like a lifeline for each other? With if something goes wrong on the moon, can they get to the space station easier than they could back down to Earth, and vice versa? If there's a problem on the space station, maybe they could get to the moon a lot easier than they could get back. Is this am I getting a little weird now, like with my questions here? But these are the things that my brain thinks of whenever we're talking about this brave new future.
Not entirely weird at all. I think ultimately the issue is a matter of resources. Every single launch has a cost to it. I don't think this is kind of made very public very often. Is the discussion about the amount of energy it takes to get 1 kilogram of payload into orbit, and how that translates into how many dollars it takes to get a 1 kilogram into orbit. And right now it's still a pretty high price. So each launch is basically a sort of a triage of equipment. Can we afford to take this right now? Or are we going to have to wait till the next launch window? Can we afford to take this? So when it comes to bringing basically an extra rocket to launch back off of the moon to return, or something like that, or to send more supplies to the moon, all of those things have costs if we're talking about just having them in reserve outside of our atmosphere. So that's part of what makes it difficult to basically just be able to jump on a spaceship and fly back out to the moon, or jump on a spaceship and fly home from the moon. It's very, very difficult to plan all of those things because of the cost to get anything out there. It's all a matter of resource management. So a space station could help, but it depends on whether or not you want to keep an extra rocket in orbit with the International Space Station as an emergency backup. Once the costs get down, then you might be able to see certain changes in things. I mean, right now they're scheduling yearly missions to the moon. Maybe if we can get costs down, we can have every 6 months we're a rocket going back and forth.
Gabe Phifer, News Talk STL contributor, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning, and our resident rocket scientist here on News Talk STL, is going to stick around for another segment before we get Paul Curtman on the line to talk about the start of the week and the economy and markets as we get this week underway. But before we run out of time with Gabe, I want to switch gears, get you an update on what is happening with Iran. The president today talked about the incredible rescue over the weekend from the other crew member. We talked late last week about the F-15 fighter jet that was shot down in Iran at the end of last week. The pilot was rescued pretty quickly. There was a second crew member that was ultimately rescued over the weekend. Donald Trump talked about the details of that rescue and issued a deadline to the Iranian regime today. We'll fill you in on that and more as we continue with Gabe Phifer next.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Weber Chevrolet is the place to go if you are looking for a new vehicle this time of year. You know, the weather's warming up. We're starting to see some sunny days getting outside. And, you know, talking with Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet about this a couple weeks ago on Closest Cabinet here on the show. We do that every Wednesday with Skip and Mark Close from KC95. Great conversation. Join us every week for that. It's 3 o'clock here every Wednesday afternoon. But, you know, something about this time of year, you know, like Skip joked, like he sells cars all year long. But there's just something about this time of year. People have been cooped up inside for a really long time. Maybe you've been thinking about getting a new vehicle, but, you know, you don't want to go and walk around and look at cars when it's freezing cold or it's raining or, you know, it's crappy outside. Something about this time of year just is really, you know, kind of sparks that in you if you've been thinking about getting a new vehicle. And if that is the case for you, of course, there is no better place to go than Weber Chevrolet. 3 locations around town to serve you: Creve Coeur in Missouri, Granite City, and Columbia in Illinois. There's also Weber Ford in Granite City, the entire Weber Automotive Group there to help you. Nobody's going to give you a better deal on a new vehicle. Nobody's going to give you more in your trade-in. And above all else, nobody's going to take care of you in that vehicle for the entire time that you have it better than the team at Weber. It truly is the customer service and the service departments that sets Weber apart from the rest. That's why they, year after year, have the top reputation scores when it comes to GM dealers in the Midwest. And that's why they've been around in the St. Louis area for nearly 125 years. You don't stick around in the same community for that long if you're not doing right by your customers. So if you're thinking about getting a new vehicle, don't wait. Check out what's happening at Weber Chevrolet just by going to weberchevrolet.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talon at 4:25. At 5:25, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ashlyn. On the line with us is Gabe Phifer, former co-host Mike Ferguson in the morning, a rocket scientist, musician, church leader, just a guy who had a solo in the Easter Cantata at church yesterday, just always showing off. He's smarter, he's a better singer, he's more attractive than me and you and everybody else. Gabe, thank you, as always, for your time.
Gosh.
Hey, I lied. I said that I was going to ask. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I said I wasn't going to ask any more space questions, but I'm going to ask one more space question.
I was going to say, though, that you and Janet are my biggest cheerleaders ever in the history of the universe. You brag about me more than my mom.
You're a pretty great guy, buddy. You deserve it.
Thanks.
Is this the first time that we've seen the dark side of the moon? Or were we on the other side of the moon on the Apollo mission?
Yeah, the Apollo missions have orbited the moon several times.
Okay, so we did. Okay, so this is the first time.
Yeah.
We have seen the dark side of the moon. Did we?
Yeah, we've seen it plenty of times.
Are you ready? Are you prepared to confirm that is where the aliens are?
I can neither confirm nor deny the location of any being of extraterrestrial or otherwise origin.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I the dark side of the moon. We're getting some people on the social media asking about the dark side of the moon, and I couldn't remember. Ashley and I were just talking about it at the break. I couldn't remember if this was the furthest we've ever gone and the first time that we've seen it, or if the Apollo mission had actually gone out. And then, now that you say that, of course, they would have had to orbit the moon while they were landing there. So we have seen it. We have seen it. But, well, they've seen it. We've never seen it. But, yeah, super interesting stuff. And just super interesting.
Yeah, it's just a mysterious thing.
It is. Go ahead.
The idea that the moon is kind of locked and it's only one of its faces ever is located, directly facing us, and that there's always an other side of the moon. Like the fact that the moon doesn't spin, I guess, freaks people out.
Yeah.
So it's always been one of those mysterious ideas.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the dark side of the moon. What's back there? What's going on?
Right.
And we looked, and it was like, oh yeah, it's more rocks.
The idea of a heavenly body, a planet or a moon that there's half of it that never sees the sun, and and half of it that never gets dark. That's just bizarre to us. And,
well, that half does see the sun. It just doesn't see us.
Oh, that's okay. You're right. Of course it does. As it spins, it does see the sun. It just never sees us. Same thing though. Same weird phenomenon that we just never. It's right there. We see it every night. See it every day.
Yep.
And we've never seen, from Earth at least, the backside of the moon. Crazy. Wanted to get into this. Wanted to talk a little bit about Iran before we run out of time here with Gabe. We have about 5 or 6 minutes left here with Gabe Phifer, and then we're going to talk to Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments. Donald Trump, as I mentioned in that last segment today, talked about the rescue of the F-15 airmen that was, when we left for the weekend, was still unaccounted for after this F-15 jet was shot down late last week in the war in Iran. And the pilot, it was a two-man airplane. Pilot was rescued immediately. The second crew member was not, but has now been successfully recovered. President today at the White House talked about that rescue and also issued a deadline to the Iranian regime. Earlier today, President Donald Trump touted the historic rescue of the downed F-15E airmen behind enemy lines and issued a warning to Iran to make a deal before tomorrow night's 8 p.m. Eastern deadline or face being, quote, taken out. He said, quote, "This is a rescue that's very historic. It will go down in the books." But then, while talking about the rescue mission, Trump paused to send a warning directly to the Iranian regime saying, quote, "The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night." Trump continued to press Iran to come to a peace deal hours after saying the offers thus far are not enough. He did mention over the weekend that after the United States sent our most recent sort of peace agreement to them, that they responded with what the president called a significant response, like heading in the right direction, more than we've seen yet. Obviously, we don't have all those details, but he said it was significant, but not enough. And the president said that War Secretary Pete Hegseth and along with him, vowed the heaviest bombing of Iran to date. Hegseth said at the president's discretion, today, Monday, would be the largest volume of strikes since the conflict began. That's hard to imagine, Gabe, after we've seen such massive strikes to this point, that today will be even turned up a notch. Hegseth then said that tomorrow would be even worse if the negotiations don't advance, saying, quote, "Tomorrow, even more than today. And then Iran has a choice. Choose wisely, because this president does not play around. You can ask Soleimani, you can ask Maduro, you can ask Khomeini." So Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump gave...
You can only actually ask one of them.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Definitely turning up the heat on Iran. Is it going to work? And how do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, Donald Trump is one of those guys when look, there have been presidents that we've had where when they make threats, the rest of the world just kind of rolls their eyes. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, red line, President Obama, I got it. Yeah, okay. When you have a president like a Donald Trump, and back in the 80s, if you guys remember, Ronald Reagan was considered the cowboy president, right? And when he would make threats about things, people would actually take him seriously, because every once in a while a bomb's getting dropped on somebody. So that's kind of the benefit of what we describe as basically peace through strength, where when America is willing to fix its military capabilities, then people kind of pay a little bit more attention than they would if the regime just keeps saying, "Hey, I'm going to count to 3," and they never get to 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see we will see how it really seems like. Now, I know we've done this before. I know we've even heard from this president. It was 2 weeks ago, I think, that he said that this first phase of the operation will be over in 5 days. It's been at least 10 days since then. So we've heard about these various deadlines before, but this one seems to have more force behind it. So we will see. The next 24 hours could be really important. Go ahead.
Now, here's the other half, basically, of the way President Trump often spouts off. Is sometimes he will make these declarations that follow suit with his typical hyperbolic way of speaking, and it's a way that has annoyed a lot of the those of us on the right who prefer more statesman-like individuals. But it's a sort of language that I am very familiar with, because it's basically what a New York real estate guy sounds like. This is the best countertop you're ever going to see. You've never seen a kitchen that as big and wonderful as this one. That's the guy. That's who Trump is. So when he says stuff like, "Oh yeah, it's going to take us like 36 hours to do this," that may not necessarily be true. It's one of those things. It's one of the things I really don't like about the way he speaks hyperbolically all the time. But the thing is, when he says we're going to bomb you into the Stone Age,
he means that. Yeah, I agree with you completely. But as any other leader or president that we've talked about, and like you made a great example there with the red line and Barack Obama. You need to be careful if you're going to be giving public ultimatums or public timelines, and you don't back them up, then you become, then you do lose a little bit of your credibility or the reaction to those deadlines if you're not if you don't show the willingness to back them up. So we'll see what it's going to be. Really, we're going to be all over it. It's going to be just a really, I think, important next 48 hours.
In terms of our capability of actually accomplishing this, I just want to let everybody know that a fully loaded, if you load it up properly, a fully loaded F-15E could probably hit somewhere between 24 and 36 individual targets with laser designation, precision bombing, with each of those bombs with about 500-pound yield. So, and that's one. That's one.
Yeah.
That's one.
So keep that in mind, rest of the world.
FYI.
Gabe, last point I want to make, I think, a perfect way to end this conversation with Gabe Phifer, who, as I mentioned, on top of being a rocket scientist, is a church leader. He and I go to church together. Speaking of this rescued airman, this weapons specialist is weapons systems officer. It was reported over the weekend that he was rescued yesterday on Easter, and the United States military revealed that his last encrypted radio broadcast after ejecting from the aircraft after getting shot down last week was "God is good." I think powerful stuff.
All the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a perfect way to wrap up our conversation with Gabe Phifer here on Colombo and Company. Great to talk with you as always, buddy. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
Back at you, bud. All right, we are going to continue the conversation with our economic expert, Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments. He starts every week with us on Monday afternoon to get us a check on the economy and the markets. Speaking of Iran, as I mentioned, Donald Trump suggested charging tolls for passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Is that real? I don't know. Would it work? I don't know. We'll talk to Paul about it. Also, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase releasing an annual letter to shareholders today with strong references to the war in Iran. And will that have any impact on the economy and the markets moving forward? We'll talk about those things and more with Paul Curtman next.
Kick off before you even get halfway.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Vienna waits for you.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hunters, we are about 2 months away from turkey season. Are you ready? Hey, it's Mike Ferguson here, and if you stop by and visit my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors, you will be. WhistlePig is stocked with decoys from Avian X and DSD, clothing from Bandit and First Light, calls from Rolling Thunder and Woodhaven, plus WhistlePig has those hard-to-find tungsten shells from Apex and Migra. WhistlePig Outdoors in Troy, Missouri. Just go to whistlepigoutdoors.com.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Paul Curtman's financial update is brought to you by PR Curtman Investments, providing customized strategic guidance to help you build and protect your wealth. Learn more at prcurtman.com.
Hey, welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Thanks again to Gabe Phifer for joining us in that last segment again. What better day to talk to a rocket scientist than on the day that astronauts went further from the planet Earth than any other time in history. Great conversation with Gabe. If you missed it, go back and check it out on the podcast. Now, joining us on the line, as he does every Monday afternoon, to help us kick off the week and get a look at the economy and the markets as we start another busy week, Paul Curtman from PR Curtman Investments is here. Paul, how are you? And how are things starting off this week?
Hey, good afternoon, Tony. Things are actually starting off the week pretty well. I mean, the last 3 trading days of last week were pretty good. We had a kind of a little rally. I think that the S&P 500, when I'm watching the chart, it's trying to break out of this downward trend that it's in, but there's just so much volatility around the world. Still, it's just kind of having a hard time breaking out. Today, though, the Dow Jones is up. All indexes are up. The NASDAQ, S&P 500. So we're kind of starting the week off pretty well, but there's a lot of economic news just around the corner. You mentioned that letter from Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. That people are talking about that letter, but also here at the end of the week on Friday, we have some new numbers from the Bureau of Economic Statistics coming out. So we're going to find out a little bit more about what inflation was doing in March. And so there's just a lot coming together this week. So whether or not the market's going to be able to kind of break out of this downward trend, or whether or not it's going to get a bunch of news that it doesn't really appreciate and continue that downward trend is yet to be seen. But I think at the end of this week, we're going to kind of figure out which way it wants to go.
So I want to read a little bit of this letter that was released today by Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, just to get your thoughts on some of this, because it is tied so directly into the war in Iran, which is bringing together two obviously, major topics that we, cover and talk about here every single day. Two major topics that, impact everybody's lives. And for Paul, I mean, we always talk about, Paul's economic expertise. Paul also a veteran, so that's served in that part of the world. So perfect time to, got lucky talking to a rocket scientist on a day where there's space news and nobody better to talk to you about this stuff than you, Paul. So I want to read a little piece of this and get your thoughts on it. So JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warned in his annual letter to shareholders that the war in Iran could lead to more stubborn inflation as well as higher interest rates than what the market is currently anticipating. Dimon's letter was released today in conjunction with JP Morgan's annual report for 2025 and said that the Iran war may cause energy shocks along with disruptions to global supply chains that could cause inflation to remain higher than expected. Quote, now, because of the war in Iran, we additionally face the potential for significant ongoing oil and commodity price stocks, along with the reshaping of global supply chains, which may lead to stricter inflation and ultimately larger interest rates than markets currently expect. Dimon said that the foremost risks facing financial markets and the economy are geopolitical in nature, including the Iran war and Russia's war in Ukraine, as both conflicts have had, quote, an impact on countries and economics, or economies, across the globe that are not directly involved in the war, unquote. One last piece of this letter, Paul, that I want to read and then get your thoughts. Quote, nations that are heavily dependent upon imported energy are already seeing the effects, and it's not just energy, it's commodity products that are byproducts of oil and gas, like fertilizer and helium, and given our complex global supply chains, countries are experiencing disruptions in shipbuilding, food, and farming, among others. So that's a lot. A lot going on there, but it is all of it is directly tied into what's happening in the Middle East and also to a degree what's happening in Ukraine. So, and wars can end, and those situations can change for the better or the worse over time. What do you think of Diamond's warning, and what do you think? Is he on? Are his intuitions, are his warnings accurate and important, or do you see it a different way?
No, I think his warnings are accurate. Now, you have to understand, though, Jamie Dimon, his job is in terms of his relationship with investors. Whenever you have an investment advisor at your local financial office, or whether it's Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of one of the largest financial institutions on earth, the job here is to mitigate risk, and that means you have to be very real about where the risks are. Now, Jamie Dimon also knows that this whole thing could wrap up tomorrow. We could see a white flag of surrender. We could see all of our terms being met. And we could see this whole situation in the Middle East just kind of disappear overnight and brighter days tomorrow. But Jamie Dimon also understands what I think everybody else kind of understands, even if we haven't just really thought about it and articulated it in this detail. But look, we just got out of a 20-year war in Iraq. And most of that war was being fought by an insurgency, not by people wearing uniforms, walking around and marching around in gigantic organized units, okay? So what if you had that happen in the Straits of Hormuz? What if you had rogue cells that were just organic, popping up all over the place, but it was happening in the Straits of Hormuz? Back in 2000 or 2001, the USS Cole got hit by a fishing boat, and it blew a huge hole in the side. So what could happen in the Straits of Hormuz just because the Iranian Guard is defeated and nobody is walking into their recruiting office anymore to join the Iranian Guard does not mean that hostilities will cease, because there could be an insurgency in that area too. And if there's an insurgency in the area of the Straits of Hormuz, you could just, and I'm just giving you one example of how things could continue to go sideways. So Jamie Dimon is doing exactly what he needs to be doing. He's making sure that people have a realistic expectation or a realistic understanding of how expectations could shift depending on the direction that this war goes. And I think that anybody who's looking for sound financial advice, they need to have somebody who is going to tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's important for people to be able to manage their expectations. This could be inflationary. Like you said, the byproducts of oil, the whole world is running on oil. So it's not just the byproducts. It's not just plastic. It's the energy that it takes to transport cans of corn across the Midwest and get it on the shelves at Walmart. Everything could wind up going up if the situation continues to escalate, or at least if it doesn't resolve quickly.
It's such a great point, and you're exactly right also about, when it comes to the news, news sources on these economic issues or others, and when it comes to your personal life and your personal financial journey, for example, as you touched on there, you need to have people that are telling you the good and the bad. And I would argue that the bad is maybe even more important to have. And if somebody is avoiding that, or obviously trying to avoid that topic, or try to make everything always sound so fantastic and there's no problems or worries, then I don't know if you're talking to the right person. So I think that's such a great point. Paul, speaking of, and of course, Paul and his team at PR Curtman Investments are that team for many people. I can't recommend them enough. Speaking of the Strait of Hormuz, Paul, I don't know if this is Donald Trump doing a Donald Trump thing or if this is real, but the president today suggested charging tolls for passage through the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to turn it into a toll highway. President today suggested the United States could charge tolls for passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Speaking with reporters, Trump was asked about Iran possibly charging tolls themselves for ships to pass through the waterway. And the president answered that question with a question saying, what about us charging those tolls? I'd rather do it than let them have it, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water. Unquote. Well, kind of went a little weird there at the end there, Paul, but that's kind of typical for this president. Charging tolls at the Strait of Hormuz? Could that solve some problems?
If anybody could make it happen, Donald Trump could probably make it happen. I don't have any doubt in my mind. I mean, he continues to surprise people all around the world. I mean, there would be some challenges with this because, like, the United Nations, they look at the Straits of Hormuz as an international strait. So if he wanted to do that, he would have a lot of countries opposing him. But I've never seen a deal maker in the White House the way Donald Trump is. So, if there's a way to charge a toll, or maybe we collect an oil tax from all the oil that's moving in and out, whatever Donald Trump thinks he can do, he will probably try to do. I don't think that it's likely for that to happen. But the fact that he's bringing it up just kind of tells you where his mind's at. And that's not a bad thing for the commander-in-chief, for the president of America, to be always constantly trying to posture America in a place where we can be out front and, somehow benefit from the situation.
Yeah, or thinking outside the box. I mean, at least coming up with these ideas, for sure. Paul, we only have about a minute left, so final thought here, keeping in mind what's happening in the world and this possible deadline that the Trump administration has issued to the Iranian regime for tomorrow night. If they don't come to the table, that things are going to get turned up on the heels of Jamie Dimon's letter today. How do you feel right now as we start another week, as we get into this spring, about the momentum behind the markets? Is it positive? Is it negative? Could go either way?
It could go either way. I'm just going to be real honest about this. It could go either way. The last 4 trading days have showed us that the markets, they want to recover. They want to go up. There's a lot of people who think that the markets are still expensive. So you throw all the volatility in on top of what some analysts are saying, there's still a lot further that the markets could go down. But, if Iran does come and they have the white flag of surrender, if they do come to the table, and if America does get what we want out of this, I think that that's going to provide a lot of energy for the markets to go back up.
That is Paul Curtman. If you need some guidance on your financial journey, whether you be a young family starting out or somebody closing in on retirement, I can't recommend Paul and his team enough. Paul Curtman at PR Curtman Investments. Paul, always appreciate your time, my friend. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. All right, Monday afternoon, just about 3 o'clock, we're going to talk AI with our big tech AI expert, Mike McClary from Intervine, next.
Tuesday, April 7th, your community is on the ballot. And before you vote, you need to know what you're voting on.
School board, city council.
News Talk STL has you covered. Log on to newstalkstl.com for our complete voter's guide. See the issues and races on your local ballot. Know the facts. Make your choice.
I think we need some kind of change.
Then get out and vote. Because local elections aren't decided by millions. They're decided by you.
My vote counts.
See the complete voter's guide at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you gotta try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
Looking for a great place to play golf and host your next event? Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge is more than just exceptional golf. Our clubhouse is the perfect spot for private parties, family get-togethers, and unforgettable celebrations. Make your special day even better with our welcoming atmosphere and outstanding service. Visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com, where great golf and great memories meet. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Freddy's Market, Iron Bear Customs, and STL Windows and Doors. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. and Israel are hitting Iran with multiple airstrikes while rescuers pour through the rubble in search of survivors.
Footage released by the Iranian Red Crescent showed the aftermath of strikes in various areas in Tehran and Qom province. Pictures showed damaged buildings and rubble and rescue workers searching to find survivors. Israel struck a key petrochemical plant at Iran's massive South Pars natural gas field and killed 2 Revolutionary Guard commanders on Monday, putting into question a new 45-day ceasefire proposal for Tehran and the US. While a strike near Islam Shah, southwest of Tehran, killed at least 15 people, authorities say. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump says, make no mistake about it, Iranians do support the war aimed at toppling the Iranian regime.
The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. And that's an edict. That's in writing.
Correspondent Julie Walker reports that after a harsh winter, Ukrainians are finding joy in releasing bats rescued from the war.
In Ukraine, life goes on despite the war, and that includes the annual releasing of the bats. Across the country, hundreds of bats, many rescued from war-torn areas, were set free Saturday at events marking the arrival of spring. At this nature park on the edge of Kyiv, children and volunteers delighted in watching bats fly into the night sky. Anastasia Vok, a volunteer at the Ukrainian Bat Rehabilitation Center, says preserving these endangered animals is crucial. All 28 bat species in Ukraine are protected due to declining populations. I'm Julie Walker.
More at townhall.com.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Beautiful sunny skies and mild temperatures today. A dry day with a high in the low to mid 60s. The normal highs in the mid 60s. So this is just about typical for this time of year. It does get cold tonight. Lows dropping down into the low 40s in the metro area. North of town, we could actually see a little light mix or a few snowflakes, believe it or not, in the morning hours, but I don't think it's going to have any impact other than the wow factor of seeing a little light snow after Easter. And we're looking at a high tomorrow in the mid-50s. We'll see some rain chances by later this week. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOV meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Fox News commentary with Andrew McCarthy next.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Andrew McCarthy on the political divide over immigration in the U.S.
Most of the issues that come up in our public debates are ones that we can compromise on at some point. You know, maybe it's the 30-yard line, maybe it's the 40-yard line, but you can get people together. I think immigration defies that because you have one major party in the United States who doesn't want the immigration laws enforced, doesn't think the United States should have borders. I'm not saying that most Democrats in the United States believe that, but I do think that the people who run the Democratic Party are the energy of the Democratic Party and are the financing behind the Democratic Party. They're very hard progressive and they're very open borders, and they want to do everything they can at every turn to undermine immigration enforcement. It's just a fact.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Oh, that's good stuff right there. That's local music from Justin Rock. Support local music. Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Man, we've just got the best company here on Colombo and Company every week, and it really shows today that on a day where humans have traveled further than ever away from planet Earth, we have a rocket scientist on with us, who's with us every Monday. We also, as this war in Iran is continuing and its impact on the economy, we have Paul Curtman also in this last hour, who is a financial expert and a vet that has served in the Middle East. So just the perfect person to talk to. And, of course, every Monday at 3 o'clock, and just after 3 o'clock, as it is right now, we talk to our AI expert here on the show, Mike McClary from Intervine and Intervine.com. And there's so much every week, Mike. I could start the conversation like that literally every Monday for the rest of our lives. But today, it all kind of like these other conversations that I've had today, it's all tying in together because there's AI impacts on some of the major headlines of the day, including the dramatic F-15 Airmen's rescue over the weekend that we talked a lot about in the first hour, how that story has got an AI component to it that's really embarrassing, I think. As well as, obviously all the other, we broke down we broke down some of that letter that was released today by Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, his annual letter to stockholders, where he talked a lot about the war in Iran, but he also talked a lot about AI in that letter. And I want to kind of get back into that. I want to kind of get into that part of the letter and get your thoughts on that as we go through the conversation today. But yeah, it's like where do you start? And it's another reminder, Mike, that you gotta embrace AI, if you don't want to use it in your daily life, you don't have to, but you need to understand it, and you need to understand its impact and what it's capable of, because if you don't, you're going to be clueless, like some of these politicians that were tweeting an AI picture over the weekend.
That's the sad thing about that. I've talked about deep fakes, about people falling for them. I wouldn't think that our own politicians would fall for this, but just over the weekend, after the rescue, there was immediately it's a pretty cool photo showing, the rescued F-15, the weapons systems operator on there being rescued with the people around him. And we had Governor Abbott, we had some other folks as well, kind of saying that, oh, well, this is awesome, retweeting it, posting on it. And then it is a fake photo. Thank goodness the rescue really was successful, and probably even better than the picture showed, from what we hear about these kinds of things. But the fact that we so quickly embraced a fake photo is kind of sad.
Yeah. And you're exactly right, about how this should, you would think that this would be caught by people like the governor of Texas and so many others that posted this over the last 24 hours. It is because, to me, it's obviously AI. I mean, it's a good photo. It looks real, but it's just too perfect. It's these soldiers in camo with their arms around another guy who's a little more dirty and disheveled than the others, but he's got a big bright smile on his face, and he's got the American flag on his lap. I mean, it just is too. It's the reason I can tell it's AI is because it's too good. It's too posed. It's too posed. It's too perfect. It's like that is not what a rescued soldier that has just hiked 7,000 miles. I mean, it's not 7,000 miles.
Okay, hidden a cave, hiked. And I'm pretty sure the guy on the right with the headset and glasses and beard, for those who can't see it, just Google it, you'll see it.
Yeah.
I think he's been in a lot of movies where he plays like a SEAL team member.
Yeah.
Because he looks just like one I've seen in at least 3 or 4 different SEAL Team 6 movies.
He looks like, he looks like the person that AI would create if you said,
exactly,
create the American soldier. You know what I mean? Like it's he. That's why I mean that. That's what I mean by saying that it's too perfect. And yeah, and is it does it hurt us in any way? Financially or safety wise, military wise, because some politicians got fooled by this picture? No, but it does show you, Mike, that people just we talk about it enough. I think that we sometimes think that the whole world is at least caught up to a point. And when something like this happens, I think it reminds us that, there's a lot of people out there that just don't even realize, like, a picture that looks this good could just not be real. And they're out there posting it. I think it's a good reminder of where we're at with AI acceptance and understanding when something like this happens.
So there are 2 things here. One, I don't know the exact stat. I'll find it for you. There's a study shown that, like, we think that, half the world or 2/3 of the world is completely aware of AI and has used it in some extent. The real stats are unbelievably small. I believe it's like 5 to 8% of people actively use AI. And I couldn't believe when I saw that stat. And it's probably because, like you said, we live in this world and we see it. But I'll find the report and I'll share it next Monday because I want to have my facts correct on that. But I know it's incredibly small. So there really are the vast majority of people who aren't really aware of what it can do and aren't actively using it. And we'll dig into that next week.
Yeah.
But the other thing about this is where this does hurt us is that we know that other countries, whether it's North Korea or Iran or other countries like that, they use, they have fake media reports all the time. They're circulating, they've taken down, entire fleets of our ships. They've destroyed most of our Air Force, whatever it is. They share all these stories over there. And we know that they're sharing fake news. And so now I'm afraid they're going to point back to this and say, look, America is sharing fake news. And they even now have admitted it. This is a fake story. because so it does hurt our credibility when we're calling them out because they do it all the time. Now they're going to point to this one instance, and we're going to have to say, yeah, that was a fake picture that got posted, and our politicians actually liked it and shared it.
Yeah, and if you can be fooled by that, what else can you be fooled by? That's the immediate
anything.
question that I have for somebody, because again, find it out there. It's real easy. It's real easy to find this picture. In fact, I will, if you're watching the show on the cameras, I always tell people that, you might get there's always the possibility for a little extra bonus content if you're one of the folks watching the show every day on one of our social media channels. We live stream the show every day on Rumble, on Twitter, and on Facebook, and technically on YouTube, but we get kicked off of YouTube all the time, so nobody watches on YouTube because there's no you never know if we're going to be there or not. So I would stick with Rumble. That's my number one. Twitter and Facebook also fine too. But if you're watching on the cameras here, you can see a picture of it. I hope you can see that picture. Ashley, I don't know if that's getting through the camera or not. Is it too bright? Yeah. Here, as I talk, I'll see if I can lower this brightness a little bit so people can actually see this picture. But you'll see it if you're not watching the show. You just Google it or whatever you want to see it. It's just it's. To me, it's very obvious. Like when I read the story before I saw the picture, Mike. So I was really curious. Like I was really curious about the picture. Like how good is it? How realistic is it? And then when I saw it, my internal reaction was like, oh, like it's like I thought it was going to be better. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, it's pretty clearly fake.
And you know what? Here's the sad thing is because one of the reasons why when OpenAI came out with one of their new image models, this was about a year ago when they first came out with one of those awesome. And the reason why it went so viral at the time, not their video, these were the image models. It went viral because people were starting to use, I don't know, like these little, not hacks, but they're starting to know that if you tell an AI to create something that is raw, unfiltered, unstaged, candid, things like that, it looks like a Polaroid snapshot that no one even tried to take, and they look incredibly realistic. This one looks like, I don't know, like Tarantino said, stage the perfect victory flight home.
Yeah.
Perfect camera, cinematic lighting.
Yeah. Perfect soldiers, big bright smile, put the American flag on his lap. Like so yeah, pretty amazing stuff. If you've seen this picture or seen this story floating around, it is not real, and that is why these conversations are so important. I can't wait to talk about that study and when you get those numbers about how small the actual percentage of people that use AI is, and that does surprise me as well. I'm not surprised that it's the minority of people. I wouldn't even guess it really to be even close to 50% yet, but I would guess it to be much more than the single digits, because even and I don't know what counts as AI usage, because I think that I'm someone that doesn't use it enough. I'm constantly trying to remind myself to remember to use AI tools when it comes to show prep or scheduling or many other things in my life, and I basically my primary usage is just chatbot and show prep, asking as I'm driving when I can't be reading stories or taking notes, I'm having a conversation with Gemini, the Google AI, and asking questions about the stories of the day and give me details on this and give me the information on that, and I feel like I feel like what I do is nothing compared to what people like you do with AI. So I feel like I'm on that group of that doesn't even really use it, and if people aren't even using it at my level, then yikes.
Well, I'll tell you the good news about that. There really is. This is not Mike trying to be overly positive. The good news is for those who are really afraid that AI has passed them up and that it's going to be really hard to stay employable because you don't really have strong AI skills yet. you're with the 90% of the world right now. So if you do start using it more and more and build up some just basic skills, you're going to have a huge advantage when companies are looking for people who have AI skills. We're not talking about programming or developing your own AI tools. Just being able to use it is a skill set that's in high demand right now.
Yeah.
And so that's the good thing about that is the competition is not that big out there right now. Although if you're paying attention to it, it feels like it because you live in that AI news cycle bubble like we talk about on the other end of the news spectrum. That's why it kind of feels that way.
I think that my experience is that when I talk to somebody who has just started to implement AI, assistance in some part of their life, whether it be recreational or work or school or whatever it is, the most common the most common answer to the question, what are you surprised about the most? What surprised you the most about, starting to use AI tools or getting into AI? And it might be 100% literally of the time when I've asked somebody that question, that the answer is the biggest thing that surprises them is how easy it is to use.
Yeah. Once you start, it's like having a conversation with a friend.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to hear because they think like computers, AI, the most advanced technology we've ever seen. I don't understand computers. I'll never be able to use that stuff. I can't just dive right in. Yes, you can. It's a lot 100% simpler than people realize. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I used it to cook our Easter dinner yesterday. I'm not joking about this. So we had our oven went out last week, and I, being the guy, thought that I
told you how to
fix
build
it.
an oven.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It did not. It did diagnose the problem, but the problem is I can't get the part in time. But so we had a couple options. Like we have a pressure cooker, and we don't use it that often, but it's great when you do. And we also have this like 3-pot crock pot that can also like cook 3 dishes and slow cook them and keep them also like warm. And so I kid you not, we were having some honey roasted chicken. We're having some green beans. We're having some yams, corn, and a couple of things. And I told it, I don't have an oven, but I got a pressure cooker and I have these other like slow cooking crock pots. And here's what we're having. How do I cook all this in time? And I have it all saved. It told me when to start everything, how to cook everything, the right temperature, when to switch the little crock things from high to low, when to put things into the pressure cooker, when to let it steam and vent. And it timed it down to where I was going to eat at 2:00. We ate at 2:04. And it was a perfect real world scenario where it was incredibly helpful. I would have been panicking.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are so many of those, and it doesn't have to be something complicated. It can be just I am like, sometimes I'm mad at myself because I'm trying to do something and I don't remember just to ask Gemini, for a half an hour, and then I'm like, oh, I could just get the answer by like something as simple. And I think I've talked about this before. When the Olympics come around, we always subscribe to Peacock so we can watch the Olympics. And then we unsubscribe as soon as the Olympics are over.
Yeah.
And I went into our subscription after this last Olympics, and I'm on I'm in the Roku app on the television, and I'm in the Peacock app on the Roku, trying to find this. I know I've done it before. I know that there's a way to just click the buttons and find where it's at, and then in my subscription, and I couldn't find it. And after
they don't make it easy, Tom.
Yeah, right. I know. After about 15 minutes, I went, just ask Gemini. And I said, hey, on a Roku on a Roku, how do I unsubscribe from the Peacock app? And you do it from like the Roku screen, not in the app. That's where I was going. I thought you had to open the app to unsubscribe, but you do it and yeah, it just walked me through it. Like, go hit the home button and then hit the settings and then go to this setting and then go to apps, and like it just exactly walked me through it. Just a simple.
And you can turn the camera on now, Tony, too. You could have like hit the camera button and it would show to your TV, and I kid you, it'll say, oh, you're on this screen. Click on this icon here.
Yeah.
It's that good and that fast right now.
Yeah. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't know. I don't have any special computer knowledge that allows me to benefit from these things. It's literally just talking to the chatbot in many of these instances.
Well, you know what? You do have a good talking skill.
Well,
I mean, so don't undersell yourself.
I guess so. But yeah, that'll be really interesting if you're able to find that study, because I'd like to hear what that number is and what the definition of using AI is. Because
I'm sure the devil's in the details.
Yeah,
there.
because you could say just talking to Siri, right, could be considered AI, and everybody who's got an iPhone, I think. You guys, you don't have an iPhone. They still talk to Siri.
No, I don't. I'm a Pixel guy.
They still talk to Siri, right, on the iPhones? I don't know. I've never had an iPhone.
I've heard Siri's not that good anymore.
Wait, is it AI? Is Siri AI?
It is AI. It is AI, but a lot of the Apple AI is now being powered by Google.
Yeah.
They kind of have a partnership going on now because they were so far behind. Golly gee willikers. I just said the big G-O-O-double-G.
Now everything's
how do you spell it? All of my devices are going off crazy here. It's listening to me. Your guys are going to quit. I don't know how much time we got left because we may not be able to get into this.
Let me ask you this. We got a few minutes left, but we could also take a quick break and then continue the conversation on the other side. Do you have time to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
I got time because maybe we'll get into the moon as well.
Oh, I would love to talk about the moon. Also, OpenAI plans for robot taxes. I want to ask you about that as well. So, yeah, we've got plenty of time left here before we hand things off to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. So, let's continue the conversation with Mike McClary from Intervine. Don't forget about Intervine.com. That's Mike's company, local, family-owned business, makes the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries in all different sizes. And I just remembered as I'm saying that I need to buy batteries because I had to put 4 AA batteries in a new Nerf gun yesterday, and it was the last 4 in the house. So I'm glad I'm glad that I just said that out loud because I need to go and buy batteries from Intervine.com ASAP. Intervine.com, use my name, Tony, as your promo code to get 25% off. That's what I'll be doing to get 25% off everything. Flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, batteries, all at Intervine.com. TONY is your promo code, Tony, for 25% off everything. We continue the conversation with Mike McClary from Intervine next.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
I wish I could play the didgeridoo. Wow, no. That's just cool stuff. Hey, the Walner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway, they are the folks to call if you are thinking about selling your home. This was especially noticeable and kind of a moment for the Colombo family yesterday, Easter Sunday, of course, the first time that we had family Easter at my mom's new house, thanks to the Walner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. So just like I did a few years ago, when we moved, we called Rodney and Jen Walner Home Selling Team. Christine and I did. Not only did they just over-deliver when it came to selling our old home faster and for more money than we ever expected, but also just an amazing job in helping us find the perfect new home that we're still thankful for every day, years later. Then just over the last couple of months, my mom, through the same process with the Walner Home Selling Team. Also, our own Jamie Ullman, who's part of the Walner Home Selling Team, big help in that process as well. She had the same experience, just absolutely outstanding experience. Rodney and Jen Walner are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so they can help you no matter where you are in the St. Louis metro area. And I can tell you from all that personal experience, there is nobody that has the experience or the work ethic to be the best more than the Walner Home Selling Team, more than Rodney and Jen Walner at the Walner Home Selling Team. So if you're thinking about selling your home, they are the team to call now. Call them at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Walner Home Selling Team.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
So an Alabama Democrat congressman thought that he could make political hay by attacking the SAVE Act. It would require voters to show identification before voting. The 40-year-old congressman had a question for his audience, most of them older than him. He had some of his staff taking video because he was going to use his question and their response as campaign material. So he said, "Watch this. How many in here have no ID?" Not one hand, not one was raised. Kind of backfired on him. He quickly added, 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was a lot different. Still trying to put a positive spin on a failed attempt to blast the SAVE Act. Now, actress Meryl Streep has also bought into another version of the lie. Republicans are trying to suppress voting. And she said, "It's my understanding that if a married woman tried to vote, still has her old name on her ID, she won't be able to vote in November." Meryl, you are an Emmy-winning actress, but you should also get a dumb award. Those women have months to get a proper ID. Just do it. There's another leftist fail.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton, open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Booms Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story in the news business. What does off the record really mean?
Larry Connors USA.
Now weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL.
Listen, you can't just play this song out of nowhere like that on me, especially, this time of year when it's starting to get nice outside again. This is like the Colombo family vacation theme song. Makes me feel some type of way. A lot of positivity. Perfect time for you to be here, Mike. If you were here, I'd hug you.
Well, put a rain check on that one, Tony.
Didn't know how to respond to that, did you?
I was taking a drink of my iced coffee and it almost spit out. That's okay.
You're listening to Colombo and Company here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ashlyn, and that is Mike McClary from Intervine. As I mentioned a moment ago, the local family-owned business owned by Mike and his family that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps available on the market, even batteries in all different sizes, and you can get all of those great products right now by going to intervine.com and using my name, Tony, Tony, as your promo code. 25% off everything at Intervine.com. I really did make myself a note to buy batteries as soon as the show is over. I meant to do it last night because I went to the battery drawer. My son got this new Nerf gun, like a semi-automatic Nerf gun.
Oh, how fun.
Oh, they're great. He's got a whole arsenal. I mean, he's got like dozens of Nerf guns. It's kind of his thing. So he got one for Easter, and I knew it needed batteries. I thought 4 was excessive, but I don't manufacture these things, and then realized that I had exactly 4 AA batteries left in the drawer. So I need to use my own name as my promo code at Intervine.com and stock up on batteries. So you'll be seeing an order coming in very soon.
I'm not going to get up my desk until
there you go. Well, you won't have to sit there long. I promise.
Now, Tony, I got an idea.
Yeah.
You ready for this idea?
I am.
Okay. I do want to get into the robot taxes.
Yeah, please.
Public wealth fund and that. But I think I should list off 10 true but weird facts about the moon before we do that. What do you think?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Right.
We
And
a lot of
perfect day
moon,
to do it, right?
A lot of moon talk today. Started the show with Gabe Phifer, who's a rocket scientist, a space nerd. If you missed any of the conversation, it was perfect day to talk to Gabe because just like Mike, he's with us every Monday. But today, Artemis 2, making history. The astronauts aboard Artemis 2 went further away from planet Earth than any other humans in history. So it's a space day. It's a moon day. So I would love some moon facts.
All right, here we go. 10 true weird facts.
Okay.
True. All right.
You putting
True
quotes
facts.
around the word
I'll be
true?
redundant.
Or you?
Yeah, I'm putting air quotes around it. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Right, all right. So first, when Apollo 12 crashed into the surface, the moon rang like a bell for an hour. And then when Apollo 13 did, it rang like a bell for 3 hours. NASA didn't expect it, making people think the moon might be hollow. Truth is, it's probably just a little less dense in the inside, but still a weird fact. Also, the moon is 25% the size of the Earth, making it the largest moon of any moon in the solar system. And actually, very odd, most moons are really, really small compared to their planet. Ours is a quarter of our size. Ungodly big for a moon, which is just weird.
That's such a good stat. I actually asked somebody last week, it might have been Gabe. I think it was how big the moon is. And of course, in very Gabe, technical fashion, he started giving me circumferences and radius and numbers. And I still didn't have a very good idea at the end of it. I didn't want to admit to it. But I still had some trouble grasping how big it is. 25% the size of Earth. Now that's an easy one that's an easy way to remember. All right, I'm sorry.
That's a big moon for a
great
planet.
moon, and what a great moon fact.
Yeah. Well, here's another one too.
Okay.
The Earth is 400 times the size of the moon, and the sun is 400 times. So the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, and roughly 400 times further away than it is from the sun. Means that we have a perfect eclipse. And if we didn't have those numbers, if 400 times wasn't the number of the distance and the size, we wouldn't see perfect eclipses the way that we do. It's a really weird phenomenon.
That is
sized the perfect way.
That is, and that really is amazing because it does have to line up absolutely perfect for us to have these, total eclipses that we've seen, obviously, over the last couple of years and, in our area and all of that. Yeah, if the distance isn't exactly right, if the size of the moon isn't exactly right, if the angles aren't exactly right, it doesn't happen. It is pretty amazing.
Work.
Yeah, that is amazing.
For us, it does.
Great moon fact.
Also, moon rocks are magnetized, but the moon has no magnetic field. I don't figure that one out.
How do it work?
It's true. Yeah, who knows?
Because of the aliens. It's the aliens on the dark side of the moon and all their equipment over there.
It could be those towers that.
My guess.
There's a whole story about that guy. A NASA scientist actually says he saw pictures of that back in, I think, the 70s, something like that. But he's the only one who said that. But whole nother story. But also, there's something called TLP, transient lunar phenomena. It means that parts of the moon just get bright for no reason at all, and they can glow for hours, and then they fade away. It's there's like 4 or 5 different reasons that could be happening. None of them verified. Also, lunar titanium concentrates are bizarrely high. We have so much titanium on the moon, which might be why we and China and other countries want to go there, because it's a titanium plethora virtual cornucopia. That's why people want to get there.
Titanium harvesting.
Exactly. Moon rocks are older than any rocks found on Earth, even though people say that the moon came from a collision of the Earth. I don't figure that one out. How can it be older than the Earth if it came from broken away from the Earth? Another thing I just don't
maybe the rocks have disintegrated. Maybe the Earth rocks have disintegrated at a rapid pace, and you can't get to the. I don't know.
I wouldn't think so. We have an atmosphere and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Also, without the moon, we wouldn't be here. It stabilizes all the life on the Earth. Without it, we would just not have the tides, the gravity, the seasons we have right now. It would be a very, very ugly Earth if we didn't have it. Yet,
thank you, moon.
Yeah, thank you very much. In ancient history, there are times people say there was no moon. That there was, they talk about they have these constellations they show the whole night sky, but no moon at all. Now, again, that's like olden times. Who knows how well their history was? Whatever.
Still
and then is that the last one? Oh, we find lots of trace things on the moon when we did bring rocks home that don't exist here. I think like uranium 236, some weird number like that, but it's like never here. So again, if the moon came from the Earth, why is that there and not here?
Because the aliens.
So that's 10 things. Really
that
odd fun
is.
facts about the moon.
Those are great moon facts.
Yeah, thank you.
You never know what you're going to get.
Not on AI Monday.
No. We could go to the moon. You never know what you're going to get. I love it. So got just a few minutes left here, Mike. Maybe as bizarre as the moon facts. OpenAI is making robots to do tax. What's going on with robot taxes?
We can cover this. We got this. So everyone's
we have
worried
about 4 minutes still, so you're good.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
So people are worried about the impact of AI, what it's going to happen on the economy and the entire world, and it's a real thing. It really is coming. And so OpenAI is now proposing some changes to help with that. One is a public wealth fund, and the way this would work, right now, the government's been investing. Trump's been investing in some companies. I think NVIDIA, as a matter of fact, is one of them. Huge company for AI and technology and hardware. They want to have they propose another fund that invests in AI companies, and then the profits get redistributed to the population, to the people. So that's a way for us, for our tax money going to these companies, get some of that back in form of profits. I like that idea. If we're going to invest in them anyway, let's give some of that money back to us.
Absolutely.
The other one, the robot tax, is a little misleading, but what they're proposing is if companies are going to outsource real people's jobs to robots, then there's like a special tax, because you can't. The way that the government makes the money, and whether you agree with it or not, and I generally don't, is by taxing incomes. And these robots are not going to have incomes to tax. And so the tax base is going to go down. And so what they're proposing is if you're really replacing people with robots, then there needs to be some kind of tax that goes on that so that there's more income going back into
robot usage tax, essentially.
Well,
if you're using a robot,
I like that idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also a big sales tax proponent instead of income tax.
Oh,
but
amen.
Whole nother topic.
Last real quick point here, Mike. I mentioned, especially in the last segment at 2:40 when we talked to Paul Curtman for PR Curtman Investments, we talked about the letter from Jamie Dimon, the CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase. His annual newsletter to stockholders. He talked a lot about what's happening in Iran and its impact on the economy's future. He also touched on AI a whole lot in this, and I just want to read this one part because we only have a couple minutes. I just want to read this one part and get your quick thoughts on it. In part of this letter, Dimon wrote, quote, "Overall, the investment in AI is not a speculative bubble. Rather, it will deliver significant benefits. However, at this time, we cannot predict the ultimate winners and losers in AI-related industries. We will not put our heads in the sand. We will deploy AI as we deploy all technology to do a better job for our customers and employees." And I read that one part, Mike, because I think it just goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of this conversation. Just a reminder, this is the guy who runs, the most powerful bank in the world. And he is saying, look, AI is here to stay. And if we don't embrace it, we fall behind. So we are going to embrace it. I think it's just, an important message that people need to hear and realize. Not sticking up for banks in any way, just saying, look, if the most important, powerful people in the world say AI is, part of their future, probably should be a part of yours as well. Final thoughts.
I agree. You know, it'd be a folly to kind of like put our heads in the sand and think that it's not really going to come or it's a fad. It would be as if, you know, what if other countries were going out there and creating nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, and we decided, you know what, we just don't like that, so we're not going to participate. Well, there's lots of dangers in pretending like a technology that's here and it's been uncovered, the cat's out of the bag. No one's going to put that cat back in the bag. And so you need to at least acknowledge it and prepare for it. And I think we can do that responsibly in a way that makes us stronger and mitigates our risks as much as possible.
And it highlights the importance of this weekly conversation every Monday with Mike from Intervine. Again, all these AI topics that we cover, try to keep you up to speed on the industry. Mike pops in from time to time outside of Mondays when there's AI news, which happens more and more these days. And just can't thank you enough, Mike, for all the insight and the great conversation. Really appreciate your time. Talk again soon.
Same here, guys. Have a good week.
Great stuff there. Mike McClary from Intervine. Again, Intervine, INTERVINE.com. That's Mike's business, local family-owned business. Makes the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps available on the market. Batteries in different sizes as well. 25% off all of it just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code at Intervine.com. All right, tomorrow is Election Day around the metro area across the state of Missouri, and we will be covering all of those issues tomorrow. And then, obviously, as the week unfolds, getting you all those election results. Get out and vote tomorrow. And again, go to newstalkstl.com, our website. We have a voter's guide there. You just put in your address. You can see the ballot. Get yourself up to speed on the elections happening in your area and get out and vote tomorrow. Colombo Company back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for O'Reilly next, then Tim and Chris.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Monday, April 6th, 2026. Here's what's happening today in America. He is found. Time's running out. Save college sports and the dark